Hey,
There's been so much interest in the economic boom that's been happening in Jamaica, both on the investment side and also as a place to move to. Let me tell you about a conference that might help you with this stuff. Throp X is a 5-day Jamaica investment conference that takes place from November 13th to November 17th at the beautiful Travelers Beach Resort in Negril, Jamaica. This includes 2 full days of expert panel presentations on all aspects of moving to and investing in Jamaica. This includes the brightest minds in the Jamaican real estate market, certified financial advisors from the most prestigious financial groups in Jamaica, banking professionals from the most esteemed banking institutions in Jamaica, among others. If you are thinking about moving to Jamaica, this conference is the perfect opportunity to have direct access to not only individuals who have achieved your dream of moving to Jamaica, but you'll also be among like-minded conference goers who are also trying to move to Jamaica. In addition, there will be 1 full day dedicated to touring both residential and commercial real estate for sale in the greater Negril area to give you a tangible idea of the real estate landscape in Jamaica. There will be exclusive properties for sale on this tour that you will not find listed anywhere else. If you are even remotely considering moving to or investing in Jamaica, this is the conference for you. This is the best way to dip your toe in the water of figuring out whether Jamaica is the right place for you to invest and to live. For more information, please visit thropx.com and join our mailing list. I look forward to seeing you in November. Hello, Throppers, and happy Sunday to you all. Welcome to another Sunday live stream here on the Throp channel. If this is your first time visiting, a special welcome to you. This is where we have meaningful discussions about Jamaica. And usually on the podcast, we have a guest, but on our live streams, it's usually just me. And today we are going to be talking a little bit about economics of Jamaica, really based on an article column that was written that was really inspired today's stream. And we will get going with that shortly. But as usual, I want to encourage everybody to let me know where you are chiming in from, what city, what state, what country. And we like to make those connections in the comment section. And we are just a few short weeks away from Throp X 2023. Which of course am very, very excited for. The plans are coming together. I have a few announcements in regards to that in terms of speakers, most in particular speakers, but also just wanting to keep everybody up to date with just some housekeeping for those that are coming in person or planning on coming in person. And I know quite a few people have reached out to me to head to the conference, as we have just a few more tickets left, which would be great if we got them, if we became sold out, which we are kind of close to. So hopefully, in the next couple of weeks, we can get to that point where we can say, I'm sorry, we have no more tickets available. But we're almost there. Very happy with the way things are going and the way things are panning out in respect to the plans, the vendors that we're working with, the partnerships that we have, and should be really good. Should be really, really good. And we expanded it in comparison to last year in terms of the days and also the offerings, and a little more than two more weeks left. So with that, where should we start? Let us start. Oh, okay. Can you let me know if you could hear me out there? Not sure if we're having a technical issue. Let me know if you can hear me if in the comment section. Okay, for some reason I am okay, there we go. I'm seeing it on my side now. Okay. For some reason I was just testing it and making sure. For some reason I wasn't picking it up on my test here. Okay. We're good. We're good. We're good. Sorry about that. Okay. I think we're good. All right. So, all right, let's hop into the first article to start with. So I have quite a few, but two specifically that I want to talk about the economics of Jamaica, so to speak, from mm, I guess two different perspectives. We can say that. And the first one, all right, let me get to the comments first before we get into it, because I feel like we're gonna really get into the weeds here. So I kind of want to hop into it earlier, sooner rather than later. So let's go into the comments, and then we'll hop right into these articles, which I think they are very interesting and lend some perspective. I think it's very much in line with what we discuss here as it relates to the economics of Jamaica. What's going on, Everton? Good to see you. Thanks for joining. Hey, Jan. Jan says, greetings, Throp and Throppers. Lisa Marie, good day, Throp and Throppers, chiming in from rainy Connecticut. Try to stay dry out there. Jan says, Throp X countdown, 15 to go. Yes, can't believe it. Can't believe it. Kingston 16 says, happy Sunday from beautiful Palm Springs, California, but no 7 Mile Beach. Yeah, I hear you on that. Hildreth says, greetings to you, Throp. I am sorry that I'm not able to attend. Will it be on the live stream? Yeah, so we do have live stream tickets available, which is on the thropx.com website. So you can go ahead and purchase your tickets there. That entitles you to 2 full days of panel discussions, and you also get to interact and engage with the speakers. So many of you will get your questions answered as if you were there live in person. Jasmine, what's going on? Thanks for joining. Hi, Cherie. What's going on, Justin? Good luck to you and your Cowboys if they're playing today. I'm assuming they are. Andrew, hi there. Thanks for joining. Mark McCarthy says, greetings, Throppers, hailing from Brooklyn, New York to Jamaica. Awesome. Good to see you. Good to see you. Thanks for hanging with us. Hildreth is in Palm Beach, Florida. Awesome, awesome. Okay, let's get into the first article here. I'm gonna share my screen. All right, let me throw this. All right, so this article was in the Jamaica Observer. It's a column, and it was written by Lisa Hanna, member of Parliament. And I know we try to stay out of politics here. However, I think she makes some. I think she makes some great points. And I read her columns. I follow Lisa Hanna on Instagram. Definitely do not always agree with her on some of the things that she brings to the table, but I am very much a person, like, if you make sense, you make sense. At the end of the day, and also I like to engage with at least from an education standpoint, and also in person, but engage with people with different perspectives. And I think I truly believe, like, that's how we learn and that's how we grow. And I think she really puts some things into perspective here. So let's just hop into it. The title of the article was, more competition would benefit consumers. As a member of parliament, I see my primary responsibility as taking decisions and promoting ideas that will improve the quality of life of my constituents and Jamaicans. Our paramount objective as policymakers should be to create the economic environment that will ultimately increase our citizens' per capita income and reduce their living costs at every opportunity. Jamaica is part of the global economy in which free and open markets provide avenues for countries to trade, especially with exports, and earn a vital foreign exchange for their goods and services. Aggressive competition among sellers and an open marketplace gives consumers, individuals, and businesses the benefits of lower prices, higher quality products and services, more choices, and more significant innovation. The Federal Trade Commission (FTC) in the United States promotes competition while enforcing rules of the competitive marketplace. For example, antitrust laws ensure that the rights of consumers are protected from large monopolies which may seek to use their power to hike prices or unfairly take advantage of the markets in which they operate with anti-competitive mergers and business acquisition practices. The FTC investigates anyone and everyone it believes violates the rights of the consumers. It does not matter if it is Google, Amazon, Microsoft, banks, utility companies, book publishers, food companies with excessive sugar, or healthcare providers. They will come after you if it suspects you are exploiting consumers unjustly. A case in point was when the FTC and the 17 U.S. state attorneys general sued Amazon.com Incorporated on September 26, alleging that the online retail and technology company is a monopoly using interlocking anti-competitive and unfair strategies to maintain its monopolistic power illegally. According to the FTC and its state partners, Amazon's actions allow it to stop rivals and sellers from lowering prices, degrade quality of shoppers, overcharge sellers, stifle innovation, and prevent rivals from fairly competing against Amazon. It follows naturally that lack of competition in marketplace leads to abuse of the consumers with high prices and service fees. In Jamaica, we have the Office of Utilities Regulation (OUR) and the Fair Trade Commission, which are intended to protect our consumers. But do they? In all cases brought forward by the FTC, the lawyers fighting monopolies have argued that concentrating industry power in the hands of just a few companies would lead to higher prices and harm consumers. Here in Jamaica, instead of breaking up monopolies and oligopolies, some of our policies actually encourage them. In previous articles, I have focused on the unfair practices of our banking sector. Today, I want to pay specific attention to our chicken/poultry industry, in which there are two leading local producers, Jamaica Broilers and Caribbean Broilers. Both companies are protected by very high import duties of 200% to restrict competition from imports. Local supermarket shelves carry many goods produced in Trinidad, Barbados, Belize, and Guyana. However, we do not import chicken from those markets, even though the import duty from CARICOM would be 0%. So in 2021, 2 years ago, Jamaicans with a lower per capita income were paying more than 200% more for the chicken than the retail consumer in the US, see Table 1, and more than 181% more than the citizens in Belize, see Table 2, for a whole chicken. Today, depending on the supermarket, the price per pound may range from $2.88 US to $3.09 US. The raising of conventional bred broiler chickens is not difficult. Most of the chickens available in stores today are ready for harvest in approximately 48 days. Chicken feed is usually corn and a mixture of other grains. The data show that the weight of a chicken is approximately 60% of corn consumed, and feed costs account for between 60% and 70% of the cost of poultry meat production. Therefore, a chicken's price directly corresponds with the corn or feed price, or at least it ought to. Unfortunately, this is not so in Jamaica. Here, when the price of corn goes up, the price of chicken goes up. But when the price of corn goes down, the price of chicken in Jamaica does not. Corn prices have fallen 31% over the last year, but chicken prices in Jamaica continue to rise. Even our imported chicken neck and back, which is basically dumped here, is more expensive than other CARICOM countries. I say without fear of contradiction that a duty structure of 200% has done nothing to improve the lives of Jamaican people meaningfully. On the other hand, it has undoubtedly done a lot to improve the lives of the producers. You may hear these producers need this protection because they invest with other small chicken producers locally, then buy back their chickens. Furthermore, CARICOM has mandated the 25 by 25 policy to foster the reduction of extra regional imports, thereby enhancing food and nutrition security and eradicating poverty among CARICOM people. This is a step in the right direction. As such, Jamaica must have a policy intervention that guarantees a more integrated poultry industry to give our consumers better prices. I suggest we examine the models of Belize and Guyana, where the population pays 181% less for a whole chicken. In the meantime, we should ensure that local companies operating as monopolies or oligopolies are regulated, especially those with significant protections for building and protecting local industry. As we say, one hand can't clap. In our quest to protect local producers, we have caused considerable harm to Jamaican consumers who no longer can afford locally produced food. Therefore, it is time we begin to make more products affordable to our population. Let's start with chicken. All right. And a few things on that. I will say the one like one of the let me see if we can find those charts they were alluding to. I couldn't find them before. They must be somewhere else, but the tables 1 and 2 are not in the article from what I am seeing here. Would have loved to pull those up. Yeah, not seeing them. But I would say like one of like the main things that I would want to talk about here was or is the 200% duty and just duty in general. We've talked about this before multiple times on the channel in respect to import duty, and one of the main things I think the most in your face ones is vehicle import duty, which is on average 100%, and for these chickens it's 200%, which is kind of crazy. Oops, sorry, getting the call there. Gotta put do not disturb. And yeah, which the chicken, 200% on chickens, which is very obviously high. And I said this before, like I really don't understand like the ins and outs of having such high duty on particular items coming into Jamaica. I understand like from an economic standpoint, you want to encourage and incentivize local producers or whatever that like chicken or carpentry or whatever have you, so you don't have a situation where you're just importing things that put local businesses out of work and become uncompetitive. So I understand it from that perspective. But what the author of this article is saying, Lisa Hanna, is saying that is in doing that and protecting the industry here in Jamaica, you have the consumer who suffers this, who pays a higher price. And I mean, with an oligopoly like that's stated in this article, it's hard to incentivize those companies to bring down their cost, because why would they? They're doing so well as producers of chicken, and they only have one main competitor, if you will. And it's just like, I mean, just like anything else, we look at the like I mean, I was talking about the airline industry the other day and how expensive US it is, how much more expensive it's to fly here in the US than it is in Europe. And because there is so much more competition over there, and it's very hard to get into the airline industry if you're like a European company trying to come into the US airline industry. And you just have these, I think it's 4 or 5 big airline companies here in the States that are in the States that kind of run the gambit. But just so many things in the way things are set up in Jamaica because of the high tariff costs, it just makes like the average thing like so expensive. And I think this is just a good example of, chicken, like the article is saying, chicken in Jamaica is more expensive than chicken in the US. Which is kind of crazy. And then when you look at the wages of the average wage in Jamaica compared to the US, it's obviously it's obviously lower, but we're eating and consuming the same thing. So it's just very interesting. And I think the author of the article is more advocating for policy change that would seemingly in fact have a direct positive effect on the average consumer in Jamaica. And I just feel like that like all these things need to be looked at. And in the second article that we're about to get into shortly, when we think about this is kind of a conclusion that I came from the second article, so I'm kind of preempting it a little bit. But when you think about the production in Jamaica and what Jamaica produces, it's just like we don't produce enough, but it's like a vicious cycle because manufacturing in Jamaica is so expensive because we have these extremely high utility costs. And I'm not saying like I have an answer or anything for this, but like our utility costs are just so high, amongst the highest in the entire world, as a matter of fact. And it's hard to incentivize an outside company, let alone a Jamaican born and bred company, so to speak, to invest a lot of money into manufacturing at this state, especially at this time. And you have these crazy overheads that you would have to sustain throughout the lifespan of your business. So it's a tough cycle that I again, I'm not an economist, that I really don't have the answer to, but I like the fact that this article gives us hopefully this like something to think about. And I just think that the chicken industry is a it's a good example to of like, and there are other industries who fall within under the same umbrella. Let's hop to the comments real quick and then we can move on to the next article. Leon, what's going on, man? Good to see you. Blessings, King Throp. Happy Sunday, Throppers. Special hi to Carlene Smith. Hey, bro, did you get my email, RE Beaches doc? No, I did not. I think I saw it, but I did not read it. So I'll try to get to it after this. Hey, Simone, thanks for joining. What's going on, Corey MPA? Hi, Suzette. Happy Sunday. Kaiti says I'll raise my own chickens. That's not a bad idea. Thank goodness I have enough space to grow my food. Oversight is in order. Clarity says review and renew those contracts with providers unless the providers are owned by the government. And good to see you. Thanks for joining. Jan says water, electricity, banking, telecommunication. Some aspects of the food market have a lot of legislative protection that limits/discourages effective competition. I believe it. I believe it. And a lot of this stuff, like, especially with the direction that Jamaica is moving in, we're going to get next article. It's like a lot of this stuff like has to change, especially if we want to have just not an injection of growth, but sustainable growth that really like I feel like a theme here, at least coming from me, is that the economic benefits that Jamaica is based on the investments that has made, and I would say the last 10, 12, 15 years, that these effects should be felt by the average Jamaican. And I think at this impasse that we currently find ourselves in, that needs to currently be like, this consistently needs to be a theme that we always talk about, and that is at the forefront, is like the average Jamaican should be feeling the net positive effects of the positive trajectory that Jamaica is going in from an economic standpoint. Hey, Camille, thanks for joining. Emery Knights chiming in from Florida, Jacksonville. Awesome. Kingston 16 says it appears it may be best to promote other local chicken companies in Jamaica. Also go all in on solar power to reduce energy costs. I agree with the solar power for sure and the investment. But at the end of the day, it's like, it's extremely expensive. And then even the battery technology in 2023, it's not to a point where you can completely rely on it. And I think we're a few years, and this is globally, I think we're a few more years away from where imagine like we're just fully solar. We don't rely any at all on traditional forms of electricity and fossil fuels. I mean, that would be amazing, but I don't we're not quite there yet. And from like an affordability standpoint, we're just not there. Um and I just hope, it's a dream that we get there, especially with global warming, climate change. It's something, something drastic needs to change. I was going to get into like that hurricane that happened in Mexico, but maybe we'll talk about that a little bit later. But even from an environmental standpoint, but also from an economic and business standpoint, solutions of this nature need to be made a priority, and that's in my opinion. All right, let's get to the next article. I think this is a little, I would say, what would I say? This is super opinionated. Like, I'll just put an asterisk next to it, but I just want to focus more on the, what would I say? The meat and potatoes of what they're saying here. And and if we could just kind of like focus on that, and instead, and you'll see what I mean in a second, instead of there's a lot of passive aggressiveness to this, and these I would say low blows, but we'll just say a passive aggressiveness, right? And I would say this is a good coupling with the article from Lisa Hanna, right? So let's get into it. I'm gonna throw it in the comments if you want to read along yourself, but I will also be reading it here. Okay, this one was also in the Jamaica Observer. Came out October 29th. Today, and the title, there is no author. This is another column, seemingly an anonymous one, which is fine. Again, some things in this I agree with, some things I'm like, all right, let's get to it. Beware the snake oil salesman. The strength of a country is determined first and foremost by the strength of its economy. Those who say this is not so are snake oil salesmen. The term snake oil salesman is used to describe someone who sells, promotes, or is a general proponent of some valueless or fraudulent cure, remedy, or solution. We have many in Jamaica. Everything turns on the resilience of the economy. This is incontrovertible. The rise and fall of the former Union of Soviet Socialist Republics, USSR, is a classic reminder that there are no countries with weak economies and strong institutions. Here at home, some who knew better, who had, for example, generous years of schooling at the most august places of learning globally, systematically fooled thousands into thinking that snake oils or quick fixes would remedy long-standing problems. We are today paying for their trickery. As we draw closer to our 17th local government election, snake oil will be released in great quantities. Beware. See what I mean about the passive aggressiveness? This is what I'm talking about. But this is a theme throughout the article. But let's try to focus again on the meat and potatoes here and not get too caught up in that sort of rhetoric or language. Okay, guarding against snake oil. There is an asinine and sinister narrative being spewed that massive improvements in the economy, especially in the last 8 years, are not being felt on the ground. This is snake oil salesmanship. Consequently, I believe it is the duty of all well thinking Jamaicans to expose the rotten ingredients in the worthless elixir being offered by these people. Consider this: unemployment continues to fall at record rate. The news item said, among other things, with 47,000 more Jamaicans said to have entered the employed labor force up to July this year, the country's unemployment rate fell to 4.5% as it continues to trend downward at it and at record outturns. The latest figure, as reported by the Statistical Institute of Jamaica, Staten, on Wednesday was 2.1% lower than that of July 2022, when the rate stood at 6.6%. It also follows April's record outturn when it first dipped to the historic 4.5% rate, Jamaica Observer, October 19, 2023. Charlatans spout that the record unemployment is not benefiting the people. They say they have a better solution. They say they will create high-paying jobs. Curiously, they do not say what these high-paying jobs are, how they will be created, and how soon. If it looks like snake oil and smells like snake oil, it is undoubtedly snake oil. Socialism is fueled by dependency. Power over a man's subsistence amounts to power over his will, said Alexander Hamilton, one of America's founding fathers. Believe it. There are some among us, not illiterates, but well-schooled, I didn't know what this word was, but top anaris types who desperately want to control the substance of what was traditionally called the working class. I believe that is the root of the sustained vying against the record low unemployment in our country. I'm not surprised. Why? Socialism, no matter how some try to sugarcoat it, means common ownership of the means of production, distribution, and exchange. Years ago, socialists openly sold this fraudulent doctrine. Today, most of them have conveniently dropped certain damaged nomenclatures. Many are speaking the language of conservative capitalism. Others say publicly they are fervent disciples of fiscal discipline. We must not be fooled by their contortions. Instead, we must look at their record. The good book says, by their fruit we shall know them. Thousands of men and women who are not in a job a month ago are today employed. This is not snake oil. They are not just working for themselves, they are benefiting thousands of households. Some economists say that the average worker in Jamaica is benefiting at a minimum two other Jamaicans. The fact is, there is no economy which started out with all high-paying jobs. It is an incremental process keenly tied to improvements, especially in national levels of education and training, security, commercial and judicial advances, institutional building, expansion and upgrades, plus cultural and geographical advantages. You have to creep before you walk. You have to start at the point at which you find yourself by maximizing your natural advantages, piggybacking on these, and scaling up from there onwards. The snake oil salesman would have us believe they have a magic wand to circumvent this immutable process. Those who tactically or otherwise tell folks that it is better to be on the street corners rubbing out their hand middles than working in a call center, for example, are con artists. They mean Jamaica no good, but we have seen the employment, pun intended, of this lazy man strategy before. Recall when hundreds of women were employed in the garment industry in the 1980s. Some branded it as slavery. Did they give anyone a job? They did not. Imposters and deceivers. Leigh Hunt, renowned British poet and essayist, said, "The same people who deny others everything are famous for refusing themselves nothing." We must be very wary of these types. I see nonsense again being splashed into the public square that the country should slow the rate at which the national debt is being repaid. Where does this convolution come from? It comes from an innate motivation to redistribute that which has not been produced. The fact is, the faster Jamaica brings her debt stock within the boundaries of international standards, the more leverage she will have to deal with the additional domestic matters. One does not need a degree in economics to realize this. I agree with the approach of Andrew Holness administration. Ignore the snake oil salesman and continue to agly repay the national debt. Indeed, Jamaica was once branded as a basket case due to high debt. I am happy to have regained respect regionally. We have regained respect regionally and internationally. For those who are mired in political, this person's using some words I can't even pronounce, anti-Divolian thinking, whether because of voluntary ignorance or deliberate intellectual rigor mortis. Here is a brief insight into how low debt is beneficial to all Jamaicans. The Caribbean island of 3 million people has emerged as a rare bright spot, while most emerging markets have been hit by global interest rates and a strong US dollar that has made repaying debt harder. Investors have poured into Jamaica's global bonds, with the extra yield demanded to hold its debt 187 basis points over treasuries on Friday, compared to 454 basis points for emerging markets, according to JP Morgan Chase and Co data. S&P Global Ratings and Moody's Investor Services raised their credit scores for Jamaica by a notch in the past month. We talked about this on a previous stream, citing government's push to carry out structural reforms and reduce debt. Bloomberg, October 23rd, 2023. Simply put, the faster Jamaica gets rid of long-standing milestones of choking debt, the more money she will have to better pay public servants and build schools, hospital roads, and so forth. Hoodwinkers and masqueraders who tell us that delaying debt repayment is good economics are like the proverbial man who built the house upon sandy soil. When the storm came, his house was smashed at the foundation and blown away. Lower debt is not just useless numbers on a paper, as some would want the unsuspecting to swallow. A relatively stable dollar, which we have had for the last several years, is not just a figment of some people's imagination. These are substantial achievements which help to determine how much we pay over our dough at a cashier's counter when we buy food. They help to decide prices at Coronation Market, where many, like me, shop, the cost of gasoline at the pumps, the amount we pay for electricity and water, and tons of other goods and services which we need on a daily basis. Samfi intellectualism. High inflation is the cruelest tax upon the poor. Those who crisscross the country telling folks that relatively low inflation, which Jamaica has had for the last several years, is inconsequential, are involved in an elaborate scheme of deception. Food inflation is rising all over the world. Those who say they have some kind of magic strategy to lower food inflation, if they give back the keys to Jamaica House, are riding on a cruel hoax. Can they stop the Russian war with Ukraine? This unfortunate war has negatively affected grain prices of the international market. For example, when a ship carrying thousands of tons of grain is sunk by the Russian missiles in the Black Sea, the terrible impact is felt in Jamaica. Facts matter. Ponder this. World Bank's Benga says geopolitics pose biggest but not the only risk to world economy. Reuters News noted, among others, geopolitical tensions heightened by the Middle East conflict pose the biggest threat to the world economy right now, but other risks are also at play, World Bank President AJ Banga said on Tuesday. The 10-year Treasury yield just crossed 5% briefly yesterday. These areas we haven't seen. So yes, that is right. They're lurking in the shadows, Benga said, referring to a rise in benchmark for borrowing costs around the world, which further threaten an economic slowdown. And then, how long before the next pandemic? Benga said during an event at the annual Future Investment Initiative in Rida. There's so much going on in the world and geopolitics in the world, in the wars that you're seeing, and what just happened recently in Israel and Gaza. At the end of the day, when you put it all together, I think the impact on the economic development is even more serious, he said. There's no magic wand to wave to magically correct the impact of these global events on Jamaica. Those who say otherwise are double dealers and conmen, a sort of babble. All right, so last section. It seems to me that someone has advised the leaders of His Majesty's loyal opposition, Mark Golding, that he needs to be more animated on the hustings. Some noted psychologists warn that it is important for leaders to keep their cool as often as possible since the facilitators this facilitates more coherent thinking. I agree. Last Sunday, Golding spoke at a conference in my home parish of St. Mary. He chided the Holiness administration for the recent fare increase. Golding, perhaps channeling former Prime Minister Portia Simpson Miller, said the administration was wicked and uncaring for not cushioning the impact on the commuters. Golding said the administration needed to remove the hedge fund tax and cap the special consumption tax (SCT) on fuel and use the surplus to protect the consumer. Transport Minister Darrell Vaz has rejected Golding's suggestion as fiscal indiscipline. Vaz said Golding's proposal, which is likened to the economic policy of the 1990s, is an attempt to score cheap political points. Additionally, as I understand it, the effect of Golding's proposal means the rich and the most vulnerable would benefit alike. I much prefer targeted approaches similar to the one which was revealed in Parliament by Minister of Finance and the Public Service, Dr. Nigel Clark. Recall, Clark noted, we will establish a special provision in the amount of $2 billion to provide targeted support to those who are most adversely affected and who have the least ability to absorb the impact of high gas and energy prices. But something else struck me about the mentioned Gleaner News item. Vaz said opposition spokesman on transport, Mikhail Phillips, was part of the group and was fully aware of the outcome on the fare increase discussions. He noted that the announcement was made in Parliament and said that there was no objection from the parliamentary opposition. Vaz also said it has been a week since the first phase of the increase took effect, and that to date the opposition party has not issued an opposing statement. So the communication between Golding and Phillips clogged. Was Phillips on a frolic of his own, or is this simply another instance of rank political opportunism, as Vaz has said? There is a clear dissonance here. To me, it reduces what Golding said to a sort of babble. The opposition seems trapped in confusion. Okay, a lot going on there for sure. So, like I said, it was pretty heavy-handed. But some things I want to, and a lot of passive aggressive language in here. But some things I want to kind of point out. Yeah, some things I want to point out that the author of the article brought up, and that was really I would say the overall economic improvement that Jamaica has been experiencing over, like I said before, last 12 to 15 years, in terms of when at least I started to see and like investments and improvements and money come in. I've been saying, like, in the last 5 to 7 years, I've never seen the type of money, this amount of money come into Jamaica, especially into the Negril area as well. And that to me is like where I would have been more focusing on, like the author, and obviously they have their own opinion and their own way of writing their articles. They were very much focused on what others were saying about Jamaica, and perhaps, politically or not politically, they were trying to, and I see this a lot too, trying to use cloak and daggers of trying to tell you that no, Jamaica is in a downward trajectory and Jamaica is doing bad, and you need to run for the hills and we need to change out the leadership immediately. And it's hard to bring that argument, and like this is why I brought up the article, but it's hard to bring that argument up. And it's not that I'm against it or don't want to hear it. And I do want to hear it. And I do want to hear if you really have the perspective that Jamaica is moving backwards or Jamaica is not moving in a direction that you think is positive. I want to hear why you think so. And this could be because of personal experience. This could be things that are happening in your community where you may feel that the economic benefits that Jamaica is experiencing or maybe experiencing in the future. I mean, you may feel as if you're not going to benefit from it. Your community is not going to benefit from it. But like when we look at these macroeconomic data that comes out, that we I don't know, like, and I think it's fair and also healthy to question data, and that it should be questioned. But it also, if you are going to do that, we also, I would say, need some sort of evidence as to why you don't trust that data, or why you're questioning that data, or maybe why this doesn't look right. Right. So if there is something of that nature in the data and the analytics that you are seeing, I'd like to hear why you question it, or why you think that we shouldn't be going by it. But now, from an objective perspective, when we look at the data and we look at the debt to GDP ratio, and it continues to go down on a very steady basis, and then when we are rated as a country, we're moving it by Moody's, a globally recognized rating institution, and they are looking at Jamaica as a more trusted economy, to the point, and I think this is the next article I wanted to bring up. Um yeah, this is a quick one. So I'll bring this up. This is directly in line with what we're talking about now. And also, a line that was brought up in this article, I should have highlighted it, but they were basically saying, or breaking down, and I've never heard this argument. Like, I don't know anybody who's arguing that Jamaica needs to slow the rate at which it pays back its debt. I mean, that's one of the silliest things that I've ever heard. I mean, even from the most basic of things, I mean, even my dad has told me, never keep a credit card balance. Like, don't, like, why would you? And it's just, even from a personal finance perspective, of course, if you're leveraging yourself or your business to, in the hopes of exponential growth, whether you're investing in your business and you're doing R&D, or you're doing upgrades so that you can increase your revenue and you can pay back your debts in a quicker, faster basis, like, fine. But to maintain or not focus on repaying your debts for the sake of doing so, just for the sake of doing so, I don't understand that. So this is the first time I've actually heard that argument in this article. And on the counter to that, on the opposite side to that, because we've been paying off our debt at such a rapid rate, and we're bringing down that ratio, debt to GDP ratio, at a rapid rate, again, from a global economic perspective, Jamaica is looked at more as a more trustworthy market, as a market that institutions and large economic investors are looking into as a safe place to put their money. And when they were talking about the bond yields and the I don't know if you call them T bonds here, but when you look at these government bonds, they are attractive to international investors as a place to do economic activities or entrepreneurial activities. Jamaica is very attractive because of these reasons. And investors are looking from a purely numbers perspective. They're not making an emotional decision. They're not making a political decision per se, in terms of going with JLP or PNP, Democrat, Republican, or anything like that. They're looking purely at numbers and looking to get a return on the investment. And if their numbers look good, and there are certain elements of the decision making process over an extended period of time, over many, many years, this is not something that, although we got recognition from it literally last week, from Moody's, that this is many, many years in the making. This is many, many years of incremental decision making, of incremental moves that allowed or put Jamaica in the position that it finds itself in today. So, again, and then the last point on that is that, as the author was saying in the article, now that Jamaica becomes more attractive as an investment hub, now that Jamaica becomes more attractive as to, perhaps, Ian, this will be the next article that we'll get into, perhaps even uh, getting more money at a cheaper rate because now we're looked at as a lower risk country, then we can use that money to invest further into our infrastructure and further into our schools, further into our healthcare system, to pay a higher wage and to invest in the infrastructure. And like this just makes economic sense to me. It's just so much economic sense. Let me go to the comments here, and then we're gonna hop into the maybe the last article that I have here. Joan Forster says, enjoying your program service. Not that great today. Lots of interruptions. Is it? Okay. Sorry. I don't know if it's cutting out or whatever have you. Copeland Russell says, thank God for the PM. He is doing a good job. The Jamaican people. Clara T says, the writer has it out for Golding. This article was a rant, retelling, and hearsay. By the way, where is Coronation? Yeah, clearly this person who wrote this is not on. It doesn't seem like they're on the side of Golding. That seems to be pretty clear. But I'm just looking at the data that they presented, and that's why I said let's focus on the meat and potatoes of the article when we. And then that's all I won't say all I look at, but that's one of the main things that I look at when we're discussing the health of the Jamaican economy. What's going on? Justin says the Cowboys having no technical issues at the moment. 26-3. Congrats, man. Happy to hear that. I know it's a good Sunday for you. Remain Viper says, creep before you walk, but don't spend 100 years creeping. Pakistan reliance on textile since 1950s is a good example. Middle class expansion is more important than cheap jobs. China proved that. I agree with you, Remain. I would like to see, as you say, don't spend 100 years doing it. And I would definitely like to see the pace increase. But I think, and maybe I'm too much of an optimist when I say this, but I do think that there is, in terms of like the investment the investments that's coming in here, again, the direction that we're going in, I do think within, and this stream will be up hopefully in 5 years from now, but like I do think within 5 years there will be a sort of windfall turnover in terms of the economic benefits that we will receive and experience based on the investments that we've been making. Probably at that time would be close to 20 years of investments at that time. And I think although this is happening and the investments we're doing are incremental and the benefits that we're seeing now today are incremental, I don't think the pace at which we are going to be growing is going to be maintained at this. I wouldn't even call it a snail's pace, but at the pace that we are at now, I believe that it's going to be just exasperated because of as much of the investment that we're doing, and also just giving credit to the leadership in place, and speaking specifically on the economics of Jamaica. Clarity says the writer dragged Golding, suggesting they have all these ideas and opinions within the parliament, and she is the real thorn. The writer dragged Golding as psycho. I don't think so. I don't think they were that bad. I mean, I don't think they were that harsh. I should say that harsh on Golding, but again, I don't. Maybe it wasn't fair what they said about Golding or whatever, or maybe you have your opinions about it. Maybe they shouldn't have been so harsh or whatever. But I am really, again, just super, super focused on the facts that they brought to the table, which is what we've been focused on more than anything else. And on these streams, it's just focusing on the economic data that is being presented, and also, and we'll get into this again with this next article, based on the forward movement of the economy, what leadership is doing to further take advantage of Jamaica's current positioning. Romain says, using China as example, you see that both the public and private sector collaborate for the build out of new industries such as semiconductor chips. China alone has ended end-to-end production. Jamaica is more conservative. There aren't risks taken. There aren't even funds available for tech startups. We have to rely on US based funds, tech stars to get anywhere. And great point, Romain. And yeah, I agree. I mean, there's like, I would say, small angel and venture investing opportunities in Jamaica. And I say small compared to the US market. It's so tiny. I mean, really small group of people and companies. And yeah, I would love to see more of this. I would love to see more diversification. I've had quite a few comments about people from people in here on the channel talking about, oh, we're talking about tourism again, and Jamaica needs to be more diversified in industry and not get out of tourism, but we need to do other things outside of tourism, which I agree. But also, tourism is our bread and butter, so we have it's our strength. It's one of our biggest strengths as a country, and we can't let it go. It shouldn't, and we want to maintain our competitiveness in that industry from a global standpoint. And we have to continue to invest in that direction, have to continue to invest in tourism. But at the same time, I would like to see other industries come to Jamaica, to the shores of Jamaica, especially in the tech industry. And you brought up Romain, you brought up Pakistan and the textile industry. You brought China up with low labor costs, and I believe I believe technology gives us a huge advantage of leveling the playing field, one, and then two, allows us to, if done correctly, skip over this whole using labor to spur economic growth. But that's what technology does, right? Because you don't need, like looking back at our banana and sugar industry, and it would be great to have such manufacturing jobs for sure. But imagine that we can take those same numbers and put them into software development or networking or creating digital solutions for large companies within Jamaica or even outside. But that takes a lot to build that infrastructure to produce the talent that creates those types of digital products and digital solutions. And so it really depends on where we want to focus, in my opinion, and what we want the results to be. And it's long term, don't get me wrong, and it's relatively long term. Like, my point is, like, it's not going to be something that happens tomorrow, but if we say invest now, like, we can feel this in a large way within 5, 7, 10 years, I would say. But yeah, thank you for your point, Romain. All right, let's go to the last article that I have. Bunch more articles, but the last article that I would say is relative to our economic discussion here, and I think makes the point of the previous author, or one of the points. So this was on October 25th, and our today. Let me throw this in the comment section. So I'm going to read it again, and you can read along if you want. And the name of the article is Jamaica Eyes Lower Borrowing Costs Amid Favorable Economic Outlook, Credit Upgrades. Durant Pate is the contributor to this article. Prime Minister Andrew Holness has declared that Jamaica plans to capitalize on the recent credit upgrades and strong investor demand as it bonds to drive down borrowing costs as the government returns to the global debt markets. He made the pronouncement while speaking during Bloomberg television interview in New York on the weekend. Prime Minister loves Bloomberg. I see him on there all the time. I think it's awesome, and he should be there. Anyway, that's just like a personal observation of mine. But anyway, Bloomberg television interview in New York on the weekend, citing that Jamaica has significantly cut its debt, driven unemployment to a record low and reduced inflation, arguing that the nation wants to be rewarded. Holness contended that when Jamaica taps the international capital markets this week with a Jamaican dollar denominated note, it expects to do so at a lower borrowing cost. Industry, Investment, and Commerce Minister Senator Auburn Hill said last month that markets are rewarding Jamaica after years of painful adjustments turned an emerging market's basket case into a standout. Jamaica is an attractive investment prospect for bondholders, but it should also impact the rates that we get from the market, Holness told Bloomberg News in New York, promising, "We're going to continue on this path. We want to reduce significantly our risk profile." Jamaica, with a population of 3 million, has emerged as a rare bright spot while most emerging markets have been hit by high global interest rates and a strong US dollar that has made repaying debt harder. Jamaican bonds attracting investors. Bloomberg reports that investors have poured into Jamaica's global bonds with the extra yield demanded to hold its debt falling to 180, kind of read this in the article, but to 187 basis points over treasuries on Friday compared to 454 basis points from emerging markets, according to JP Morgan Chase Co. data. S&P Global Ratings Moody's Investors Service raised their credit scores for Jamaica by a notch in the past month, citing the government's push to carry out structural reforms in debt and reduce debt. On the back of those upgrades, the government is launching a series of investor calls this week, led by BOFA Securities, Bank of America Securities Incorporated, and Citigroup Global Markets Incorporated, to buy back notes due in 2025 and 2028 and potentially selling new debt. Holness, 51, who took office in 2016, said the government has worked arduously to regain the market's confidence. Once a serial defaulter, Jamaica aims to bring its debt to gross domestic product ratio down to 75% by the first quarter of next year, from around 700, excuse me, sorry, not 700, from around 150% a decade ago. We were almost at the brink of financial collapse, the Jamaican Prime Minister said, adding, "We had to reform how we manage public finances." Jamaica green bond on the table. Holness hinted that it is quite possible that Jamaica will issue green bonds in addition to this week's sale going forward to back environmentally friendly projects and infrastructure in a region that is being threatened by climate change. The government is also evaluating selling more of the so-called catastrophe bonds, which provide a payout in the case the island is hit by a disaster. Echoing the other global leaders, Holness called the effects of a changing climate a social justice issue that disproportionately impacts small developing countries such as Caribbean islands that have been devastated by increasingly powerful hurricanes. According to him, we recognize that, yes, this is a climate justice issue, and rich countries ought to contribute to the developing world to help them to adapt and to mitigate against the effects and impacts of climate change. All right, and that's the last economic article that we have here today. And again, that article supports the last two articles in a different way, about the direction that the economy of Jamaica is heading in. And I mean, yeah, we're taking on bond debt, which I like the prime minister is saying that we should be benefiting from all the hard work that we've put in so far as a country and as a nation. And I agree. I mean, and I personally think he's doing a smart thing and going to the markets to get more capital to put into the country. And I think we are going to benefit in a real way from that. What's going on, Jay Fitz? Good to see you. Joining from Atlanta. All right. Okay, that was the last article that I had. I'm gonna throw up the Throp X trailer real quick and then talk about some updates, and we're gonna wrap up right there. I'll be back in like a minute and a half.
Hey.
There's been so much interest in the economic boom that's been happening in Jamaica, both on the investment side and also as a place to move to. Let me tell you about a conference that might help you with this stuff. Throp X is a 5-day Jamaica investment conference that takes place from November 13th to November 17th at the beautiful Travelers Beach Resort in Negril, Jamaica. This includes 2 full days of expert panel presentations on all aspects of moving to and investing in Jamaica. This includes the brightest minds in the Jamaican real estate market, certified financial advisors from the most prestigious financial groups in Jamaica, banking professionals from the most esteemed banking institutions in Jamaica, among others. If you are thinking about moving to Jamaica, this conference is the perfect opportunity to have direct access to not only individuals who have achieved your dream of moving to Jamaica, but you'll also be among like-minded conference goers who are also trying to move to Jamaica. In addition, there will be 1 full day dedicated to touring both residential and commercial real estate for sale in the greater Negril area to give you a tangible idea of the real estate landscape in Jamaica. There will be exclusive properties for sale on this tour that you will not find listed anywhere else. If you are even remotely considering moving to or investing in Jamaica, this is the conference for you. This is the best way to dip your toe in the water of figuring out whether Jamaica is the right place for you to invest and to live. For more information, please visit thropx.com and join our mailing list. I look forward to seeing you in November. All right, we are going to wrap up with some quick Throp X updates. As you can see, we are 14 days, 23 hours out. Super excited. And just some reminders for people who are coming physically, don't forget and we're going to send this out in an email for sure as a reminder, but I'm just telling everybody from now who's watching this, don't forget your all-white outfit for the farewell dinner on the 17th, Friday evening. And don't forget your red outfit, could be a red shirt, dress, whatever you want, for our Thursday night out on the town, which is going to be so much fun. I should be actually showing that schedule as I'm talking about it. Oops. There we go. And also, you don't got to go swimming, but we are doing a boat ride on the Friday day. So whatever you go bring on a boat and wear, just be prepared. So like those are the 3 outfits that I would say don't forget. Keep in mind, this is nobody's expecting anybody to dress up in a suit. This is Negril. This is Jamaica, capital of casual, and it should be a very fun, informative finance, investment, real estate conference that we have going on. But just want to make sure that you are comfortable during the entire event. Of course, as I mentioned earlier, we do have virtual tickets available. So if you go to the website thropx.com, we got you right here. And if you can't make every single day, but you're going to be in Negril, you're going to be in Jamaica, and you want to go to 1 or 2 days, we have a la carte options. We have single day passes. We have it here. You can go down whichever day that you want to come to, whichever event you want to come to. You're more than welcome to buy tickets there, and we'd be more than happy to have you come along on a day or 2 or 3, whatever makes more sense for your schedule. What else we got going on? Awesome announcement for our keynote speaker for the farewell dinner for the entire event. I am super, super excited to announce that we are having Dr. Kerry Wallace. He is the CEO, executive director of the Tourism Enhancement Fund. So if you don't know what the Tourism Enhancement Fund is, it basically is the organization that does, I would say, the largest projects that have to do with the government. So we talk about Harmony Park, Tourism Enhancement Fund. They do really, really great projects and really as we talk about the importance of tourism to Jamaica, this is the organization that makes that happen. And I'm really excited to be and honored to be having him as our conference keynote speaker and to come in and just really, I think it's going to be very, very insightful and giving us, I would say, inside information, so to speak, on what's happening in tourism and what's happening in investments in general. And this is a great organization that was formulated to further make us competitive in the tourism industry. And there's a lot of things that the government and is focusing on within tourism that I'm excited to hear Dr. Wallace talk about as our keynote speaker. So just wanted to let you know about that and announce that here on the live stream since you all are here, and I appreciate you being here. We will put it out in the newsletter for sure. And if you're not signed up for the newsletter, please do so. So even if you're not coming to Throp X, you can kind of keep up with the updates that we have going on. So if you go to thropx.com, you can sign up for our newsletter right there. So here, if you just go up here, click newsletter, first name, last name, email address, subscribe, and you are on the newsletter. Very, very easy to do. And you can keep up with what's going on. On the newsletter, we also have a bunch of different properties that are for sale and for rent. We try to do one or two every week. And that's kind of our way of continuously giving value to you, the subscribers. And if you are not subscribed, you got to hit that subscribe button. You've been hanging out with me for over an hour, and I don't want you to miss anything. So hit that subscribe button. And if you haven't hit the like button, please do the same. Let's wrap up with some comments here. 80s Hair says, is Jamaica looking to attract foreign investment through golden passports? Nope, I do not. I'm not aware of us having a golden passport at this time. For those that are unaware what a golden passport is, I first heard about this with, I believe, Portugal. Basically, they and I think they stopped doing this, but Portugal had a golden passport program, which I believe if you invested, don't quote me on this, I think it was 500,000 US dollars or more, you were able to get your citizenship or a Portuguese passport, something of that nature that allowed you to stay there for extended periods of time or as long as you wanted. Essentially, you became a Portuguese citizen through your investment. But I believe that is either has come to an end or is coming to an end. And as far as I know, Jamaica does not have a program of that nature. But Jamaica is like, in terms of, incentives of getting investors coming into Jamaica, Jamaica has got to be one of the most foreign direct investment friendly countries because we just have so much of it. And I personally think it's a good thing. But if you are a potential foreign investor, Jamaica is a very, very welcoming country. Overall, I do think Jamaica is a very pro-business country. I think there's for sure room for improvement, but Jamaica has made a lot of, just really from a policy standpoint, really great, smart business moves that have incentivized um, particular industries and just entrepreneurs, both local and foreign entrepreneurs, like never before in recent history. So maybe one day we'll get into that in more detail about like those specifics. But for now, just generally speaking, I personally believe Jamaica is very pro-business and very pro-foreign direct investment. Bunty 50 says, what kind of tech startups or tech service industries do you think the Jamaican workers and talents could manage? Good afternoon, Throp. So you put that question perfectly in context. Like you didn't ask me what industry do you think would do good? What can we manage? And that is the question of the year. And this is why I'm maybe the decade, maybe the century. But this is why I said that it's going to take time to invest in sectors of this nature. So I've said before that I think the Grill can become a tech hub. But this was more from the perspective of bringing tech companies from abroad to Negril, and more specifically, tech talent from abroad to Negril. Because when we look at the talent pool in Jamaica, when it comes to software engineers and app developers, things of that nature, it's a very small pool. It's not like we're churning out this talent in the thousands every year. We're not. And I'm talking about like high level talent. Like, are we pushing out Google grade, Amazon grade engineers? We're not. And like, and in droves, I'm talking about. We are, don't get me wrong, we do have the educational infrastructure for that, but we just don't have the volume of students, of young people that are doing that, that I would say they're like, okay, let's start. I'm gonna say I'm being extreme here, but let's start the next Google in Jamaica. Um, what I do find, and I don't think this is necessarily a bad thing, but what I do find is a lot of tech entrepreneurs in Jamaica. They're taking ideas that are already existing in America and then bringing them to Jamaica. There's nothing wrong with that. Everything from like, we have like the Grub Hubs of Jamaica, we have the Fresh and Direct of Jamaica, Blue Apron of Jamaica. Like, we have those type of, and these are things I'm just thinking off the top of my head, that I see particularly in Kingston. And I could be wrong. Do I see any like direct innovation of, and I'm open to be corrected here. Do I see any direct innovation of technology that's coming, that's like born out of Jamaica, that is used widely by the rest of the world? I'm sure it exists. I'm sure there are, like, there has to be, right? But I just don't personally know of anything, of any either businesses or even software solutions that are having a global impact, where I used the term before, Silicon Island, where the world would be like, Jamaica is Silicon Island, right? Is the Silicon Valley of the Caribbean. Like, we do not have that reputation. I do think that reputation can be developed. I do think we have the raw and innate talent to do that, but it needs to be cultivated. There needs to be strong leadership. And I think even more importantly, there needs to be strong infrastructure that supports a goal of that nature. But right now, to answer your question, what can we manage on from a in any significant scale? Like, not anything crazy. I honestly, like, from the, like, it's, we just don't have like tens of thousands of software engineers that are just like walking around the streets of Jamaica. Like, we just don't have that. I think it can be developed. I think, even, people say this all the time with the young people that we have that are getting into the scamming and things of that nature. These are very intelligent. Like, don't get it wrong, don't get it twisted. These are very intelligent and smart young people, but they're just choosing to go down a path that I think would be better suited, coming back into like focusing on technology, focusing on software development. And so, it could be a pipe dream, it could be whatever, but I think my point is, I think we have the talent that just needs to be cultivated and pointed in the right direction. So, to answer your question directly, just not as Jamaican talent, not anything significantly. And like, more so, I was talking about, hey, can we bring outside talent into Jamaica to set up shop, so maybe we can become the Silicon Island, and perhaps those established in that sector um, can help cultivate the talent that we have already existing, and can, you know, just make the level of I mean, I know I'm focusing on software development, but the skills of software developer, this, like, be able to spread that education out to not necessarily young people, but anybody who's looking to get into that industry. Well, Rosemary Chambers says, "Hi, Throp from Canada. My family and I missed out on this year's conference. We must attend next year. What are the 2024 dates and how far ahead can we book your hotel?" You can book November, I believe, starting in January. The dates for next year, we haven't exactly looked at that. It's more than likely going to be If we're going with the same week as this week, it's going to be the 11th to the 15th of November 2024. So that's when we're looking at 2024. Yeah, you could probably book by January, as far as I know, from the hotel perspective. 80s here, could I attend for 1 day only? Yeah, you can. You can. I would say go to thropx.com here, and you can, whatever day you think suits you most. We're going to release the detailed schedule. Oh, yes, today's Sunday. We're going to release the detailed schedule this week. So I already know the Tuesday. Hold on, let me see. Maybe I could actually just show it to you. Obviously, this is not the best version. Might as well. I mean, you're hanging out with me here. I might as well show you exactly what we got going on. All right, you're gonna look at my raw notes here on my spreadsheet. All right, let's get into it. I don't have any problem sharing that with you, friends and family here, right? Okay, let's do it. This is the spreadsheet that we're working with. So as you can see here, Tuesday the 14th, this is, I would say, this is the finance and real estate day that we got going on here. Oops. So these are the main, these are like, let's just focus on the panel days. I think this is what most people are interested in. And so we got, these are the panel highlights, headings, excuse me. So we got purchasing real estate at 9:10 a.m. Then we got building regulations. So the purchasing real estate, this is going to be with our three realtors, expert realtors, and that's going to kick off the day. This is building regulations. This is going to be with the Grill Green Island Planning Authority. And then we have we're going to change this name. As you can see, there's an asterisk there. We're going to adjust the name of this. This is the construction professional. So we have, this is a 4-person panel. We have an architect, we have a contractor, we have a quantity surveyor, and then we have an architectural landscape person. And then, so that's going to be the idea behind that panel is it's like, if you're looking to build a home, a development, a commercial piece of real estate, what is the team that I need to build? Who are the core people, professionals that I need to have in order to get this thing going? And these are the core people that we feel. I mean, obviously you need more people than that, but these are the 4 basic people, I would say, professionals that you need on your team, and we have them on a panel. Then we have some fine mortgages and property financing. So this is by, I forget which bank that this is. Please excuse me. But we have a bank coming in on that one. And then we have investment and wealth management. So we have several brokerages that are coming, and we'll be speaking on that. And safety and security, we have the DSP of Negril, who's coming to speak on this. So this is going to be from a general safety perspective and talking about Negril in the wider area, but also we want to talk about cyber safety and cybersecurity. So that is probably, we're trying to figure out exactly how we can incorporate that as well. So we, if you know Mocha, we're trying to get somebody to come in from Mocha as well, but it hasn't been confirmed as yet. So not announcing that, but again, you guys are here. We're going to talk about it, give you a little inside baseball here, right? Wednesday, we have starting off Wednesday morning. This is going to be Dennis Shipping. This is going to see, we have a presentation, and in speaking and preparing for this particular panel, Very excited. Like so many insights that we had on the call with this one. There is a lot happening in shipping that at least I was not aware of. And this is more so affecting the in a positive way, the diaspora and people who are moving back to Jamaica. And there's a lot of new information that is that in regards to that. And we have, I believe, two people from Dennis Shipping who are going to be on that panel. Holistic healthcare. So if you saw my live stream with Dawn Petgrave, she is coming on really talking about mental health, but we're also going to have somebody talking about just the what would I say? Jamaica being just like a healing place, and I don't think I need to like tell you, but I think it was important that we really had a strong health and wellness component to this year's conference, and I think we're gonna knock this one out the park. So very excited about that. We have entrepreneurship and business, which is really talking about. I know a lot of people are looking to set up businesses in Jamaica and trying to figure that out. And I think one of the greatest things before moving to and setting up shop here is to speak and hear from other entrepreneurs, hear about the struggles, hear about the challenges that you face. And I want to give you a realistic idea of what you could be getting yourself into, not to scare anybody away from doing it. But I think and I feel the more information, real world, boots on the ground information that can be provided to you, it's going to give you a better opportunity and better chance at success. Business regulation, business registration and regulations. We have the company's Office of Jamaica doing a presentation, again, speaking to entrepreneurship. Business banking. This is we have Mr. Wiggins from Scotiabank Jamaica is going to be making a presentation on business banking in Jamaica, and just also talking about things that are happening in the banking industry in Jamaica. I don't want to touch too much on this because there are certain elements that I feel like have to be spoken about and we have to bring to the table as it relates to banking in Jamaica and what is going on in these recent times. I will leave it at that. Doing business in the grill. Last year, we're going to change the name of this. So last year we did a panel on the future of Negril, and as this conference is being done in Jamaica, I'm sorry, in Negril, we are going to be talking about a lot of things that are happening in Negril and also in Green Island, Princess Hotel, and then also on the other side, we talk about what's happening in the, I guess you could call it the Little London area. So the bookends of Negril and Negril itself as well. And farming, we have very happy to have Shirley from the Source Farm. We had her on earlier this year. She was an absolute hit. If you aren't familiar with the Source Farm, let me see if we can bring that up. Not finding it right now, but anyway, I know farming is a very big topic that people want to learn about. So very happy to be bringing that. That was like one of the most popular panels that we had last year. So we're bringing a different perspective on farming this year. All right, let's a lot of comments coming in. All right, so that is the itinerary that nobody has seen except for you all, and it's a good one. Like I'm really like super excited. It's even more jam packed than last year, and I know one of the pieces of feedback that we got last year, and I've heard multiple times during the conference that it was like drinking trying to drink from a fire hose because it was just like so much information, so much valuable information that we were giving you, like panel after panel after panel. And not gonna lie, there's gonna be an element of that for sure. But obviously, this is going to be recorded. Everybody who comes to Throp X is going to have access to the replays, and of course, if you're visiting and joining virtually, you will of course have access to those replays as well. However, I think the way we set up this year is because we had 2 extra days. There is just so much more, many more opportunities for you to network and to have downtime, so to speak, with many of the panelists who are going to be there for the entirety of the of ThropX for the whole week. And we set it up that way purposefully because, as you can see, the longest panels that we have is 50 minutes. And that if you have a specific goal that you are going after, and there is specific talent or professional that you need or looking for, it's going to be very hard for you to extract that information or get what you need in those 50 or so minutes plus questions. And so we're like, all right, how can we ensure that you can at least have an opportunity to have more face time with that professional, hence the 2 extra days. And I call them 2 days of networking, 2 full strong days of networking, between doing the property tours, which of course you get to have a physical, tangible understanding of real estate in Negril and the greater Negril area. But then also when we have the boat ride, we have the night on the town with Negril, we have the farewell dinner. These are all networking opportunities that I think are very important aspect of this conference. And I would say just as maybe even more important than the panel discussion, the education panels that we have going on. All right, so let's keep it moving here. So yes, to answer your question, 80s here, yes, you can attend for 1 day or 2 days, however many days you want. What's going on, Galloway? Kevin, good to see you. Shardine says, checking in from Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Awesome. What's the latest in the Grill Airport? Still no updates. No updates right there on that one. I'll tell you that right now. Short and sweet. Shane Coaching, good to see you. Happy Sunday to you. Channel member extraordinaire. Shout out to all my channel members. Appreciate your support. Jan says, JA still feeling residual effects from fallout from political upheaval in Jamaica in the 70s, 1970s plus, government dismantling of much of the manufacturing industry and certain financial businesses in the 1990s. Thankfully, Jamaica now more aggressive. Monique says, how do we collaborate on making this happen? I might be reading your comment out of context. Could you let me know specifically what you're talking about? Maybe you're talking about the tech startup and cultivating more tech education for young people. Investment, you mean? I mean, short answer. I mean, I don't mean to be so quick with it. I'm just trying to get through the comments here. But I think just more needs to be invested in the technological infrastructure, and specifically like having not I guess institutions is a way of putting it, but also like we need like equipment, we need buildings that young people can go to and learn on computers, and have the instructors like teach them how to do certain things and educate them on these things. So we need lots and lots of that, and that's going to take, I think, I mean, you can do these boot camps, but it's hard for me to say where Jamaica is from a baseline, right? So I say if you have a 4-year degree, and I'm generalizing here, and of course, this is my opinion, you can kill me for it if you want to, but if you have a 4-year degree and whatever, and not something that has nothing to do with computer science. I never studied computer science, right? But I do think if you wanted to go learn coding, you can take a 3-month boot camp, and you will, from a basic level, you will know and understand coding, and perhaps even to the point where you can get a job doing that and be a software engineer, at least to a point where you can learn on the job. However, can the average Jamaican without a high school diploma, can you put them in the same category? I'm unsure. And that's why I said I don't know where our baseline is as a country, and I don't exactly know what the baseline requirement would be to throw somebody into, say, a 3-month boot camp. And here you go, you are now a software engineer. I don't know what that is. So my initial instinct, I think, is like it would take years of investment in education and also brick and mortar and equipment to really get things going in that direction. Uh, Sam Cooper says, excited to attend Throp X and looking forward to meeting the Throp community in person. Awesome. Sending all the good vibes to the Throp X team for all the great behind the scenes work. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Punty says, at Throp, appreciate you. Only good wishes. Thank you very much. Romaine Piper says, I agree with you about tech ideas being imported. We need to fix that by focusing on more on fixing problems, focus on must haves instead of nice to haves. Very well put. I like that. Leon Newton says, great stuff as usual, Throp. Enjoying the mindset and breakdown of the article. Stellar points for differentiating what Jamaica wants versus what we need versus what we can handle with our infrastructure. Thank you. Cersei Smith says, concerning what we can manage, this is why I say we need to fix what we can absolutely fix, like water issues. And this suggestion kills two birds with one stone. Instead of pumping the water all over the island, pump it to the mountaintop and use gravity supply water everywhere. We would solve our water issues and taking the $1 billion US in crude oil costs for pumping it to the island. It sounds great. I am no civil engineer by any means. It sounds great. It sounds like, and it makes sense to me. Is it plausible? I have no idea. Romaine Piper says, in terms of talent, we should follow India. They barely had talent, but it's the Indian diaspora that fixed that. Invested in India's tech industry, share their knowledge. Today, India is a tech hub. Great point. Never even thought about that. Never even thought about that. Great point. Great point. Alfonso Worth says, Throb, what's up? I think we'll start producing these talents in high volume when all the 7 proposed STEM schools come on board. The government recently broke ground for the first one in Portmore. Awesome. Plenty says, Thought very interesting point about the scammers using their talents for a tech education. We need more free bursaries and scholarships for talented individuals, prevent them from going down the wrong road. Yeah, sorry, let me finish up your comment here. Maybe one or two more specialized colleges and universities with massive funding behind it. Good wishes, Throp. Yeah, that's a good point. Like that's one of the hardest things for young people, and I know them personally, and we've helped them personally through my family's nonprofit organization, and that is the affordability of tertiary education. We just have Jamaica just has unfortunately a very poor system in terms of infrastructure and also in term and monetarily to support our young people to go to school. And there are many young people who want to go to college but just cannot afford it, and it is very expensive. It's very expensive for young Jamaicans, and then they have the talent, and this is frustrating for young people. Very frustrating for young people. You do good, you get good grades, but you don't come from a wealthy family or even a middle class family that you can afford to go to school or even have the loan infrastructure in place that would allow you to borrow to go to school. And so yeah, it's a tough situation, and I think to your point, Punty, I think that's something that needs to be looked at to have a more sustainable, literally pipeline of high school, college, get into the workforce, because that's not the case. That's not the case on a mass level in Jamaica. What's going on, Debbie? Thank you for being a channel member. Appreciate your support. Hello, Throppers. Debbie D checking in from Toronto, Canada. Keep up the good work, Throp. Guidance. Thank you very much. Romaine says, I can't remember where I heard the saying, you can't train people on skills that they'll never use. It'll just be a waste of everybody's time. So it has to be all hands on deck for prosperity. I like that. And everybody listen to Shayna. If you haven't already, please hit the like button. What's going on, Fernando? Good to see you. Hope all is well with you, man. Jeff says, I see the Gleaner has an article on upgrading the Negril Aerodome. Best to spend that money on a fast ferry from Montego Bay to Hanover. The trip is about 2 hours, can carry 200 plus people. You know, there was a company, it has to be like maybe 5, 7 years ago. I saw multiple articles on this company that was bringing this ferry system to Jamaica, and uh, their first line or whatever would be from Montego Bay to Negril and vice versa, but never heard from them again. But I think you're onto something there, Jeff. Claire T says daily tickets. Yes, we got daily tickets, so you can go ahead and get those right there on the Throp X website. Charlene Smith asks, who is the finance representative on the panel? This is from NCB Capital Markets. That's who we got. Chris Charles, what's going on? Strong Island Daya. Awesome. Good to see you as usual, Chris. And thank you for being a channel member. Clarity says, excellent choice of keynote. Thank you very much. I'm very excited to hear Dr. Wallace's remarks. Carmen Bennett, hi Throp. Happy Sunday, Carmen from Toronto. Have a great Sunday. You too. Thanks for being here. How much to join virtually? It's $150 US to join virtually, and that includes 2 days of those panel discussions. And unfortunately, it does not include the real estate tour, but you have those replays forever. So if you can't make it live, you still have access to it, and you can go in and rewatch or watch it for the first time anytime you want. Jeff Rogerson says, hey, everyone from Montreal. Just finished putting on my snow tires. Sorry to hear that. That time of year. Monique, you're talking about the tech hub. Yep, I got that. Cool. Yep, we I think with the tech hub in particular, like Negril, like it just takes. I think it takes like a CEO of a company coming down to Negril. Of course I'm very biased to Negril, but coming down to Negril, seeing the potential that it has, and literally setting up shop, and you bringing your team down, and building out. And there's so many, and then I'm speaking about like software engineering solutions, but it could be anything that you can do remotely. Extreme example, Twitter has a headquarters here in Jamaica. But if Twitter were to do that, I mean, we just have to have the engineers here. Maybe it would be cheaper for them or more attractive for them to send their engineers, coders, whatever have you, to live here in Jamaica, and it would be more like not a lifestyle job, but it'll be incentivized by the lifestyle they would have by living here. That's in a roundabout quick way, the way I'm thinking of having outside, not even startups, but outside technology companies come into Jamaica or come into Negril, right? For Eva says, almost everything can be learned online. We need more trade schools, not more universities. Most degrees are a scam. I think degrees are good. I really do believe in 4-year degrees. I don't necessarily think it's for everybody, but I think from a societal basis, when we look at, let me not even go there. But I just believe that having a 4-year degree sets you up for much better opportunities than those that do not have those degrees. And when you look at the evidence, it's hard to argue with that. Again, I don't necessarily think college is for everybody, but I think for people who don't know what they want to do with their lives, instead of sitting around being idle, and especially if you have, there are a lot of people who are just not driven, who are just not go-getters, who need to be in a situation that has infrastructure, like that. And I think college offers that. Channel of Coaching says, Throp, are you familiar with HEART program? I recently learned about this program. It's my understanding they have been around a long time. Yeah, we work very closely with HEART at Travelers. We've done many programs with them. We get a lot of our talent from them in the hotel. And it's a great baseline if you're looking to get into the hotel industry and start your career there. It's a great way to get your level 1. I think you go up to level 3, at least level 1, level 2. It could be in anything. It could be housekeeping, bartending, front desk, whatever have you, like, and it's a great way to like not come into the hospitality industry like super green. And again, we do get a lot of talent from that institution, and I think it's one of the greatest institutions that Jamaica has invested in over the many decades. Romaine says it won't take long. We could borrow some of Y Combinator's model and how they created over 1 million tech jobs. My past boss didn't finish high school, and his $2 million tech startup was doing well. There you go. I think. Sorry, let me finish your thought here. American tech startups don't hire based on degrees. Universities can't come up with constant changes in tech. Online boot camps, internships, or work experience are more attractive for tech startup employers. I agree. I agree with that. But I do think that these are like specialized individuals. And when I say specialized individuals, is like not every young person is going to be driven to be a coder that doesn't need to go to college, but like that knows what they want to do and knows what they want to go after. But I think I'm convoluting two different points here. But I I agree with your point partially, Romain, in terms of if we can find the young people with the baseline that we are looking for. And I do think we can. You know what I'm saying? Like if we can get those baseline young people that are driven, that do want to be engineers, that do want to learn coding, and we bring them into our program, call it, and we put them through these boot camps and they become, very valuable individuals to these tech startups and to these tech companies. Amazing. Let's do it. But then I'll just leave that there. Let me finish your last comment here. Romain says, even myself, I don't have a degree yet. That doesn't stop me from attracting $40 US per hour tech jobs. It does. It just goes back to being hungry enough to learn, network, etc., and showcasing your value. Exactly. And for Eva's previous comments, she was saying like you can learn every. I don't even know if it's she. You were saying that. Eva was saying that you can learn anything online, but that comes with like, do you have the ability and discipline to do that? Like, so even with what I'm doing here, everything like with my company, with YouTube, with learning to edit, learning about cameras, learning about lenses, learning about online marketing, setting up a website, Photoshop, Lightroom, all these things, even like how to connect these mics and all this craziness and all these cords, if you can imagine, that are all around me. Like I learned all on my own. And yes, there are people that went to film school that went and got this degree and that degree. And I don't have that. I have a degree in finance, but now I'm essentially in the creative industry. And I learned all these skills on my own from taking free online courses and going to YouTube University, taking paid courses, multiple paid courses as well. And this is how I elevated my value in this industry, because I had a drive for it and I wanted to get better and better and better at it. And so how many people fall into that category? Because here we are, we have a country full of, I believe, very young and talented individuals that are putting their efforts and their mindset in a direction that is not benefiting our society. And ultimately, I don't think it's benefiting them individually. But do they have the discipline and also the patience to sit there and to learn these things and say, hey, I want to be a social media marketer. And I want to go work for this company. And I agree with you, Romain. You don't need, and this is not software engineer, I'm just using myself as an example. And say you want to work for a company and build out their Instagram page or their Facebook page. It does not have, and that's the thing, is like it doesn't have to be a Jamaican company, and it shouldn't be. And like that's the world that we live in. But the eyes of those individuals aren't open, right? And it becomes about the fast money now. And it becomes about how can I earn. I want to be like that person on Instagram that has this car, that has the chain, that has the girls, or whatever have you. And that's what's influencing or incentivizing people, especially at least this is what I believe, young people, for going after the fast money. Unlike with me, again, using myself as an example, it took me, I mean, basically, I mean, it's a never ending thing. Like I'm never stop learning in this industry, but to get to a baseline of where I would say I started earning money as a videographer and editor, it took me about, I mean, I would say it took me 2 years at least, and I think it took longer because it was until I felt comfortable enough within my skill set to charge for what I was doing. And I don't think it'll take somebody 2 years, but can somebody say, "All right, the next year I'm going to become an expert at this, and I'm gonna go home," and that's if they have access to internet, right? And that's if they have access to the gear. But I mean, I would say even say with a smartphone, you can bring a lot of value to a company and to a business. But are they going to sit down and learn these skills and be disciplined for say an entire summer? Like that's what I did. I took an entire summer, literally like between 8 and 10 hours a day. I just sat in front of a computer and I learned how to edit. I learned about cameras. I learned about YouTube. And that's all I did. Like every free chance that I had, I piled into, I just dove into it. And like that to me, that's what it takes if you don't have a degree in something, because you gotta, at least I realized, it's like there are people who went to school for this. How am I gonna compete against them? I'm just gonna have to put in more effort to be able to catch up to them. Sorry, long rant on that one. Let me go back to these comments. Milton says, I agree. Need more trade schools. Hi, Throp. Happy Sunday. Janice says, Jamaica's main problem for the past 30 years is the lack of nation building by our leaders. Free education was beneficial, but that political party dismantled it to ensure keeping people illiterate. Darnell, what's going on? Always hooking it up with the donations, man. Appreciate it to the max. Darnell says, hey, Throp, good afternoon. Will there be an opportunity to open a bank account or apply for a TRN number at or during the conference? So yes. The TRN, you can actually have somebody do that for you. You could have a lawyer do that for you, so you don't necessarily have to be in Jamaica. If you email me, Darnell, you can actually, if you're not in Jamaica, that is, this can be worked out through a lawyer and they can do it for you. And I will connect you with Dawn Gray, and you can get that going before you get to Jamaica. And then I am trying to, and I haven't, and then that's one thing. And I'm talking to both real estate companies and also the banks to try to make this happen. But it doesn't look like we can do it at the conference. And that was my dream, to be able to open up a business bank account, open up a brokerage account, and even if you wanted to put an offer down on a piece of real estate, what do we have to have in place to have everything so you don't have to leave the conference to do that? But it doesn't look like we're going to be able to do that. Maybe at a future conference we can do that. It is something, I know last year people who came and did that, say the conference ended on a Friday, they set everything up so they can go into, say, the bank and open up their account on Monday. So you can set yourself up to do it on the following Monday, but to actually do it at the conference, it doesn't look like it's going to be possible, unfortunately. But that was really my dream for this year, to have it. I mean, unless something happens within the next 2 weeks and these institutions tell me something different. But as far as I know, that I don't think that's going to be possible. But good thinking. I was thinking the same exact thing, but you will be able to do it in Jamaica if you're coming for the conference. Riva says, Throp, any tech company that builds their headquarters in Negril would also have to build housing as well, which is a huge barrier. Plus, Negril has no tech-educated people in the area to hire. Mobay has a Barnett Tech Park, but no housing solutions in the area. Hence, it's a huge barrier, in my opinion. I think you're head on, 100% spot on with what you're saying. And And this is why I talk about the need for housing in Negril and modern housing in Negril, because you're right. There is no point, and I'll say that as much as I just went on this rant and about attracting these tech startups and tech investments in Negril, there is no point in them doing so. Where you're 100% right. Where are those talented individuals going to live? And if somebody is coming from, say, a San Francisco, Silicon Valley, or even a New York City, and they're living in their, say, 7,000 US dollar a month apartment that has all the amenities that they need in the apartment and in the surrounding areas, why would they come to Negril and to I'm not going to call it a downgrade, but why would they perhaps give up so much? And where are they going to live that I wouldn't, it can't, it won't be something that equates to a New York City apartment. I don't think that's what we're looking to do, because there's a difference, and there's also a difference in general in the quality of life. So perhaps you're giving up your ability to get food 24 hours a day, or having Amazon delivery come in that day when you order in the morning. You're giving up those luxuries. However, your stress is going to be so much lower. The lifestyle that you live is just going to be so much more conducive to your own personal health and well-being. And perhaps you're giving up these first world luxuries, so to speak, in order to live a healthier life, but also earning this first world, so to speak, salary down in Jamaica, right? But again, where are you going to live that is would be acceptable to your lifestyle as a perhaps tech entrepreneur or as a software engineer? And that's why I think when we talk about, and I've said this before, and this question about like what comes first, the chicken or the egg, does the commerce, the business infrastructure come first, or does the housing and the residents come first that will incentivize people to invest in the community? And so, and maybe both, you need both at the same time. Nonetheless, I do believe there is great opportunity in both those lanes, and specifically when we talk about the housing needs of Negril, huge opportunities. And you're going to see those opportunities at Throp X, I can tell you that. And I again, there is one particular opportunity that you will not find anywhere on the internet, and you will only find at Throp X. And I'm very excited to be unveiling that during the conference. But again, it speaks to the need and demand that is there in the grill for housing, and modern housing specifically. Great point. Dampers Cole says every position requires motivation by the individual. Absolutely. Romaine says, I very much agree with you, what you said about the discipline needed and young people being blinded by fast money. Hopefully, little by little, will escape that poor man's mindset. And I just think also we just need, and this is why, like I always say, like good people who make it, like who go like the straight and narrow path, generally speaking, they just don't make a lot of noise, and they're humble because they know it they've lived and know what it has taken to get them to where they are, to a point of success. And they don't necessarily want to put that in anybody's face, but nonetheless, it's like the people who are making that quick money, they're the ones who are showing off, and they're the ones who are garnering the eyeballs and young people saying, hey, I want to be like that person. But the person who went to school for 20 years and who put in the 10, 15 years into their career of climbing the ladder and getting to the next place and getting to the next place, you don't hear much from them, but they're living great lives, living great lives. They have great families. They have great values, um, financially secure. And I don't think young people aren't really attracted to that. But like, I mean, it's just so much better of a life. This is so much better life. And I'm not saying that you need to have 20 years of schooling. We're not living in a world that requires that. But I do think the importance of that example that I just gave is the importance of patience and the importance of the value of education and the value of a dollar and the value of hard work for long extended periods of time. So yeah, I don't know how we instill this on a mass level, on a mass scale. And don't necessarily have to have a university degree to uh get in on life. However, certain career lines, example, medicine, engineering, surveying, require tertiary um, and hand practical training and qualifications. Yep. Allison says, took me a day to get my TRN 2 years ago while visiting JA. Card was picked up later. If you get to JA a day or two before the conference, should be able to get a TRN in Montego Bay. Yeah, you get it on the spot. You can do it in Sav as well, which is about 40 minutes from Negril at the tax office. You can get it. You can get it right there. Okay, we are at the 2 hour mark. I thought I was going to only do an hour today, but here we are. Here we are. All right, I think we're going to wrap up there. We got, yeah, we're closing in. I think we only got, no, we got 3 more live streams before Throp X. We got 3 more live streams, so we'll be back on Thursday, then Sunday again, then Thursday again, then that's over. Then that's it. Then we'll be knee deep in Throp X. I want to thank you all for hanging out with me on this Sunday afternoon. This was a fun one, as I thought it was going to be, because I love talking about economics and I love talking about the forward movement of Jamaica. And you got all the Throp X updates, at least the ones that I could think of on the spot. We got an email coming out this week. This is going to be our second to last Throp X update, at least for the general masses. If you're already signed up for Throp X, you're going to get a series of emails from us updating on you what's happening. And also, if you bought your virtual ticket already, we'll give you some updates on how to access the virtual conference. And you'll get that in a few, I can't even say a few weeks, in a few days. In a few days. All right, this was a fun one. I'm going to leave you with the trailer. If you haven't seen, if you're considering getting your Throp X tickets in person, I suggest you get them soon. As I said before, I forgot to mention, fortunately, we had somebody cancel for Throp X, so we have one, even though Travelers was sold out, we have one room available. So if you are looking to come and you want to stay at Travelers, just let me know ASAP, because I know it's gonna go. So if you want that room and you were thinking about coming but you weren't sure and you want to stay at Travelers, we have one room available. But for those who had booked at our partner hotels, that is Negril Treehouse, Shirella Inn, and Coca La Palm, they have special rates for Throp X attendees. You can book your rooms there, and these are great hotels. I would encourage you to stay there if you don't have a room at Travelers. So we're going to close out. We're going to show you the Shirella Inn commercial and then also the Throp X trailer. Nice hanging out with you all, and I will see you on Thursday. Everybody have a great week and enjoy the rest of your Sunday. Peace.
My name is Daniel Grizzle. I'm the managing director of Shirella Inn, which is a family-owned and managed small 59-bedroom hotel situated right in the center of the famous Negril Beach. And I would like very much to invite you all to come and experience what life is like here in Shirella Inn, to be part of our extended family. Several of the rooms are just open, overlooking the beautiful Caribbean Sea, and you have tall, waving coconut trees to welcome you and keep you cool on the beach. And you have a warm and interesting staff here ready to keep you comfortable, to make you feel at home, and to enjoy that you stay happy and peaceful.
Hey.
There's been so much interest in the economic boom that's been happening in Jamaica, both on the investment side and also as a place to move to. Let me tell you about a conference that might help you with this stuff. Throp X is a 5-day Jamaica investment conference that takes place from November 13th to November 17th at the beautiful Travelers Beach Resort in Negril, Jamaica. This includes 2 full days of expert panel presentations on all aspects of moving to and investing in Jamaica. This includes the brightest minds in the Jamaican real estate market, certified financial advisors from the most prestigious financial groups in Jamaica, banking professionals from the most esteemed banking institutions in Jamaica, among others. If you are thinking about moving to Jamaica, this conference is the perfect opportunity to have direct access to not only individuals who have achieved your dream of moving to Jamaica, but you'll also be among like-minded conference goers who are also trying to move to Jamaica. In addition, there will be 1 full day dedicated to touring both residential and commercial real estate for sale in the greater Negril area to give you a tangible idea of the real estate landscape in Jamaica. There will be exclusive properties for sale on this tour that you will not find listed anywhere else. If you are even remotely considering moving to or investing in Jamaica, this is the conference for you. This is the best way to dip your toe in the water of figuring out whether Jamaica is the right place for you to invest and to live. For more information, please visit thropx.com and join our mailing list. I look forward to seeing you in November.